Okay, Nicole, how you doing? I've got your work up, and thank you very much for describing things so in such detail. This is fantastic. Um, you mentioned something about the eraser tool, and I when I hear that or read about eraser tool, I'm always like, oh no, not the eraser tool. It sounds like you've learned a really great, valuable set of techniques in this poster, and that's not using the eraser tool. Now, remember, everything you can do with the eraser tool, you can do with masking. So from now on, don't even use the eraser tool. Just use masking. That way, you're preserving pixels. You can't get yourself into a situation that you can't work out of if you stay away from that eraser tool. So. Um, I agree. I think the narrative is there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the um, okay, and I think honestly, I think the filter on the praying mantis is a little bit overdone. You're talking about that right here, and I think it's a little overdone. I think, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the piece right here. I've got it up in the window right here. So a couple of things I would mention. Okay, this image right here is a low resolution image. We can see compression artifact and pixelization in all through the image. See these little squares right here? Those are pixelization. You see these little marks, right? They're kind of hard to see through the filter, but that's indicative of compression artifact. And both of those you can read about in the Welcome to Week 3 announcement. But it's indicative of low resolution, low quality images. These don't have them, but this definitely does. And these are pretty heavily filtered. So a couple of recommendations here is that it looks like you got rid of the backgrounds on a lot of these, but this little guy's missing his legs, and so is this guy. So we want to preserve all of those areas. You want to get those legs back in there. Um, and then the mantis is almost unrecognizable because you've got this such a heavily textured filter on there. I don't recommend that. I would make him as recognizable as possible. In your mask, it looks like you've brought back two of the legs, but right now he still only has four legs. I'm not real sure how many praying mantises have, but it's either six or eight. So I think it's six legs. So he's still missing a couple of legs. I'm not even positive how many. You might want to research that, or even just take a look at the image and get those legs. I think it's really important. I think it's one of the areas in the poster I think that's kind of visually uncomfortable is the fact that he's missing some of his appendages. So that goes back to selections. Then speaking of masking and selections, this axe, now what I recommend is this. We can take this axe and have it come in between his front legs so that it looks like the mantis is holding the axe as opposed to just the axe behind the mantis. And that all has to do with masking. So basically what you would do is think about this. Would we see his rear leg, that far leg, through the X? If the X was between his legs, we wouldn't. So I would recommend masking that area out so it looks like the axe is between his legs. He's holding those front legs instead of behind it. You might also consider bringing out a little bit more transparency in that axe, since seemingly it is um, the menacing tool that the praying mantis uses. Therefore, it is an integral part of the narrative. My final recommendation is to go ahead and try to assemble these. Try as hard as you can to, let me take a really close look at those. Okay, so these credits are so small. It looks like you've got the universal font down. That's good, but the credits are so small. I'd like you to do some research on movie posters, specifically how the production credits are listed. They're typically, watch my cursor, something like this around the bottom of the work, and that's really going to add an air of authenticity to the poster. So I highly recommend really getting in there and adding more more production credits. You can take a look at a real movie poster and see exactly what they do and try to mimic that. I think, as I said, I think it's going to loan out quite an air of authenticity to the poster itself. So, okay, so those are my recommendations for final submission, and it's been a good process. Writing really describes a lot. It sounds like you're learning a ton with this project. So that's fantastic, Nicole. That's outstanding. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Thank you.